We want to go now to an interview that I did with a student who has been on hunger strike. She's a UCLA student, and her name is Maya. And she is part of what's actually become a wave of students going on hunger strike against the ongoing genocide in Gaza and demanding that their schools divest from any association with Israel and the genocide it's inflicting on Gaza at the California state system, at Stanford, and also being joined by students at Yale.
And Maya said she will either keep hunger striking until she is intubated or until the school meets with her. So it's very determined and inspiring. And I think it's especially important, and she talks about this in the interview, that they're hunger striking at the very moment when Israel is inflicting literal forced starvation. In yesterday's New York Times, a bunch of Israeli army soldiers and figures came out saying, if we do not bring in food and aid into Gaza, there will be mass starvation from which there could be no return. You're talking about mass inflicted death on the people of Gaza. And I just want to say one more thing about what's happening in Gaza right now is just a couple days ago, there's a journalist, a very well-known journalist in Gaza who was murdered. He was in his hospital bed, and Israel dropped a drone missile targeting to kill him. And his name was Hassan Eslai. He was very well known, and you just see it's the mass ongoing genocide and the attempts to cover this up. So it's in that light that it's really important that these students continue, despite the repression, continue to put themselves on the line.
So we're going to go to my interview with Maya. I spoke to her on day 4 of her hunger strike. She is now on day 7. Let's watch. All right, so I'm here with Maya. This is day 4 of your hunger strike. Yeah, got the shirt. So why don't we start by you telling us a little bit about yourself and what makes you feel so passionate about standing up against the genocide in Gaza?
Hi, thank you for having me. I'm half Palestinian, half Lebanese. My mom was born and raised in Ramallah, Palestine, which is in the West Bank. I've always been very pro-Palestine, obviously. Being born Palestinian is kind of being born an activist in a kind of sad way. But I was in Palestine on October 7th. I was in Ramallah and witnessing everything there, the talks, and sometimes we could see the rockets, and witnessing it all firsthand, it kind of ignites you in a way that I wasn't fully ignited before. And also because of the severity of this genocide. Israel has done this before, but just the severity of this attack, it made me feel like I had to do what I could.
I'd like to talk a little bit about the encampment that was here on this campus. We're right in front of where it was. There was actually encampments on hundreds of campuses across the country. Did that surprise you? How you were part of it? What was it like?
No, actually, it doesn't surprise me at all. I think my generation and this age of students are just incredible. I think that the people that I'm in community with are just so much more empathetic and more understanding of the world than maybe the majority of the people that were before us. And I think it was so beautiful. And I did find myself crying a lot because of how passionately people were feeling about Palestine, because we shared that passion alone for so long. And then seeing it, it's like people understood what I was talking about this whole time. It was extremely validating and beautiful. And that gave me like something inside of me that will keep me going for like another 50 years.
It spread among a lot of students and a lot of people who had never paid attention to the issue before, right?
Yeah. People I've met that have literally never knew about Palestine before October 7th. And now they care and they're willing to put their bodies on the line for it. It was like out of a movie. I don't know. It was really awesome.
Is there any one or two experiences that you had here that really stays with you, that brings alive what it meant to you and what it meant to others to be part of the encampment?
Yes. Okay. So, the encampment was huge. Like, I'm sure maybe you guys can put a shot of how big this area is. And they dedicated different parts of the encampment to different things. And there were little areas for people to pray for their different, in their different religions. So there were Jewish students doing Shabbat inside of the encampment. And it was like so beautiful because I felt like that image literally broke like 100 years of propaganda that the Palestinian movement hates Jewish people, and it's like we're here guiding the students or protecting the students who are doing Shabbat from the pro-Zionist crowd that's coming in to disturb them. And then we had students praying Fajr, like praying Muslims students praying, and then we had Christian students praying on Sundays, and there was like a little chapel and a little church, and I felt like the image of it and seeing it was so extremely beautiful that will always be in my mind as something that it's just it's like a 77 years of Israeli propaganda can be destroyed by 3 students, all different faiths, holding hand, fighting for one thing. And I thought that that's what this was all about.
In the last year, one of the big weapons that the Trump regime has used, and the school administrations and a lot of the fascist Republicans and Democrats who've gone after the student protesters have leveled the accusation that these encampments, that the student movement is overwhelmingly an anti-Semitic movement. I wonder if you want to respond to that.
It's so disgustingly ingenuine and hurtful to the actual Jewish students inside the encampment to hear that what they're doing and what they're dedicating a big portion of their young life to goes against their core belief of Judaism is it's just disgusting. If you watch the Encampments movie, you see like these large groups of Jewish students literally saying like, they are saying that they're protecting us from anti-Semitism, but they are hurting us. And I think the claim that what we were doing is anti-Semitic oversaturates the word anti-Semitic and puts Jewish students in danger of actual anti-Semitism. Because now people don't believe you when you say that there's you say there's an act of anti-Semitism. Now people on campus are not going to believe you because they don't know if it was an actual attack of anti-Semitism or if it was a student protesting for Palestine.
Okay, so I want to talk about your hunger strike. I'm going to fast forward, and we'll go back to some of what else has been happening. But you haven't eaten in 4 days. Yeah. How do you feel, and why are you on hunger strike?
Yeah, I feel very hungry. But I feel like more than the hunger, I feel very determined. And I think that's what's getting me through. I've been on hunger strike for 4 days. I've been on hunger strike for 4 days, and it feels powerful. It does. It feels strong. And it feels important.
So you're on hunger strike at the same time that there is a enforced famine on Gaza. I mean, it's been an unrelenting genocide for over a year now. And every time we get reports, it's worse, and you can't imagine it could get worse. But the last few months has been absolutely no food let in. People are starving to death. I just read that half of the children in Gaza wish that they were dead.
حاسة حالي إذا متت مع أمي كان أحسن ما أشوف يعني العذاب هذا والمر هذا اللي بشوفه، المأساة هذه اللي بشوفها كل حاجة عندي كليتهم، يعني كل اللي كنت أعزهم وأحبهم كليتهم راحوا.
And I wonder if you want to speak about the connection between what you're doing and what you're seeing there.
Yeah. So today is the 71st day without food or aid entering Gaza. If you don't think that a child starving anywhere, in any country in the entire world, even in Israel, in Palestine, in Ghana, in any country, if you don't think a child starving is an absolute failure of humanity, and you're not willing to do whatever it takes to feed that child, you have lost any semblance of what it means to be a human being. There's this Zionist belief that the children of Gaza are their enemy. And then you see these videos of the children of Gaza, and they're crying, and they're saying like, I want to die right now. I want to die. I want to go see my dad in heaven. Or saying, I'm watching my mother and my sister and my dad starve to death. Or the mothers in Gaza who came out on Mother's Day and said that I wish for death because it would be the only thing that could save me from the pain of watching my children die in front of me. There's a real problem in this country and in everywhere where that doesn't make the people in the country stop everything they're doing. And that's the problem. It is simply by chance that you are sitting here right now at UCLA and not a child in Gaza right now. It is simply by chance. These children did not choose any of this, any of the things that are happening. And yet they are being punished by a fascist militarized government over the land beneath their feet.
I wonder if you have any words for other students on this campus, but nationwide, and people more broadly about what's happening and how you found your courage, what your challenge or your invitation is to others.
I want to start by saying, like, the fear that your administration has instilled in you is their number one weapon against you. There is consequences. There is consequences. I have faced many consequences for what I've done. But in 50 years, when you're with your children and maybe your grandchildren, and you think back to this time, you're not going to think about that test that you were allowed to sit in on and you passed and you whatever. You're going to think about when the children of Palestine called your name and your administration was able to scare you into silence. And I don't think what I do is for everyone. I think everybody has their job in fighting against the genocide. Like, I don't think every single person could or should do what I do. But I think it's like it's the bravery to choose the hard thing. You know, it's maybe you can't go on hunger strike, but maybe you could wear a keffiyeh in your class with your Zionist professor. Maybe you can when you're not in class flyer around your campus. Everybody has a job, and I think like the number one thing the American government has done is convince you that you are powerless.
Okay, so is there anything I haven't asked about that you want to say that's on your heart or on your mind that you want to share?
I just want to put out this message that I've been putting out to UCLA, that I will not stop my hunger strike until we talk. And I am maybe a lot more stubborn than you think. So let's talk, because the world is watching and the people are watching. And I think you guys have done the wrong thing a lot of times. And this could be an opportunity to do the right thing.
Well, Maya, I'm so glad that you took the time. Thanks for talking with us here on the Revolution Nothing Less show.
Thank you for having me.